Welcome to Conversations with Chuck Bennington. I'm Chuck Bennington, and I don't know it all, and I don't pretend to, but I do know that I love my son, and I want him to have a better, faster, smoother journey through the trials and tribulations of life than I had myself. So here's my documented journey, stories, lessons, and experiences that are really for you, buddy. I love you.
And welcome back to another episode of Conversations with Chuck. And we're on. We're away. Here I am joined with the man himself, Chuck, and
and we are entering the scene in media res, as they say in the cinematography world, or in the middle of the action.
We are indeed. So Chuck and I were just having a conversation about Allen keys and the fact you can never find the right one when you need it, but then other times you'll trip over 1,000 of them. But this is a good, intro to today's episode, talking about all things Christmas because it's almost upon us. And
it's fucking crazy to me that what is today, the 22nd? I'm like, there's no way Christmas is in 3 days. I've done nothing.
Yeah, which is pretty common, I think, for everybody around the place. But also, I guess, getting a perspective of your journey through a couple of Christmases, I won't say many, versus, your experiences that you're trying to give to Liam and teach to Liam about giving and the difference between giving and gifting, I guess, as well as it is an important differentiator to make. And also, as a parent, like there's always something that needs to be built that you didn't realize need to build or had to build and thought, why did we get that?
Well, there's no shortage of like shit to build. I don't know. Where would you like to start? That is a wide-ranging convo, milady.
Yes, as always with us. But I think let's talk about the nature of gifting and giving and your experiences through many Christmases.
Well, that's part of why there's one of these is missing. That would. I'm like, I'm trying to tighten this one, but it's not going. Oh, it's just not even there at all.
I know that the desk has done many moves with you, but maybe something didn't go with it.
Dude, this desk we have had since Florida.
Wow.
No, I will get some of this done and then jump in with you because this is. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
Well, I guess it doesn't change much since it's like primarily a podcast. I guess that's something I never really think about. I'm so used to us recording everything with the priority being like on the video and then on affiliate on Zoom. And I could probably just like, fuck, we could both just like hang out in the bathroom and take shits and do these.
Yeah, well, I think, most of our audience do listen to this. So, yeah.
I'm almost done. Anyway, I hated Christmas for a long time. We can start there. I very much so disliked Christmas and the holidays for a huge piece of my later childhood and then adolescence and early adulthood. And I don't know that is super typical, but some of it is like when you're a have-not and like you don't have things. Christmas is kind of like a shitty time of the year to like reflect on how much you don't have if you are at that point in life where you're not kind of like evolved enough or grown enough to really have a better sense of articulating like gratitude and appreciation. And like I've always been pretty good at that, but dude, it sucks to be the kid that like doesn't get cool toys or like doesn't get very many toys or like I don't know, like that's that's what Liam doesn't have to worry about. We're on the other side of it. Like, this kid's fucking spoiled when we know it, and that's hard to deal with.
It's that age too that you spoke about that you sort of discover, develop that not really loving Christmas is when you have that awareness of it's different between what, some kids get and other kids don't, in your peer group. Whereas when you're a lot younger, it's like this is
a kid, right? It's like when you build the awareness and you're like, oh, these are different experiences for us and our family than they are for like other people. Okay.
Yeah.
Not necessarily like with the ability to assign like a judgment call to it, because I don't know that like we think about it that way, at least at that time. But like that was really hard for me to process and understand at an earlier period of my life, is like some of the financial scarcity stuff, because like things didn't make sense to me.
Yep.
Now it's like, how do we not have enough money for like this thing when obviously like we spend amounts of money in excess of that on all these other things on a regular basis? That is an erroneous set of assumptions, but it was based in like some amount of truth. And it's an opportunity that we have found to be like careful with our language with Liam. Because the language that got used with me was like very much so like we can't afford that or there's not money for it. Which was a partial truth.
Yep.
It would not be in our best interest to purchase this. We do not have like excess finances allocated for this. Like this isn't a piece of our budget. This isn't a worthwhile investment. This would be like, there's better ways to phrase how the truth exists when you have a younger brain and a younger mind processing what exists on the back end, which is still the case when talking to adults, because most of us stop really paying attention to our words as soon as we have like a decent vocabulary and we can speak. And we're like, what's the difference? They're all the same. It's like, fuck no, they're not. They're not even remotely close. And so where was I going with that? A lot of like the phrasing, the verbiage that surrounded Christmas and the holidays led to more feelings of like, scarcity, lack, just like, a shittier side of it. And like, woe is me, it doesn't matter. Most kids don't get like everything they want for Christmas. And my mom was a single mom for a huge portion of it, and we weren't of any like significant financial means whatsoever. Like, my mom cut my hair for a while, and fucking Payless shoes, like government subsidized lunches, like whatever.
Yeah.
But I didn't like the experience of a lot of Christmas very early on. So if we separate like, hey, here's the material side and it's bullshit, and like you know better when you are better. And at this point, like, dude, I am thrilled if I get nothing for Christmas. I go into Christmas very much so like wanting for nothing. That's not like a piece of my love language. I don't get a whole lot out of gifts as is, but also like, dude, I very much so do enjoy giving far more than receiving.
Yep.
And most of the things I want, nobody's going to get me anyway, which has been the case like for most of my life, right? Like,
no one's gift wrapping that Lamborghini for you.
I want this fancy ass bike, or like I want this cool like video game console. And it's like, well, you'll get a bike, you might get a video game console, but like might not be what you want. Now I'm like, nobody's buying me a fucking 911 for Christmas.
Yeah.
So like the things that I want, I'm like, I want for very little. But the things that I do want for, they are me problems to solve for.
Yep.
So that's kind of like on the material side, but I very much so. This is interesting. You familiar with J.D. Salinger's Catcher in the Rye?
Yep.
Is that a popular like book in Australia, like in school curriculum stuff, or just like that? It's it's classic.
No, it does come up in school curriculums.
Cool. So have you read it?
Very long time ago.
Very long time ago, and I am not asking you to remember or recite any pieces, but the general framework for a lot of what old Holden Caulfield struggled with was the idea of like, dude, you guys are all fucking phonies. Like as I look around the adult world, you guys are all fake as shit. You're all hypocrites. Like you all say one thing, do another. You all pretend to be this kind of person, but are actually this. And like that was really hard to reconcile for me. Still is. That is like one of my biggest issues, with myself, is like when I find myself being out of congruence, but also with the world at large. And the holidays were a huge highlight of that, at least for me, and at least like, in my own experience and worldviews. And so watching a bunch of people gather together to exchange pleasantries and pretend that like they have these, really close relationships that they're all so grateful for, they love each other so much. And it's like, well, you either don't see each other for like 11 and a half fucking months, or you do see each other and it's dysfunctional as shit. And like you talk shit, you are not good people to one another, but we just all hang out and pretend it doesn't exist.
Yeah, for that one time, and be nice
You're like,
to everybody.
well, if I don't like any of the material stuff, I'm not going to get what I want anyway, and I don't like how all of you guys act. Like, could we just not do this chunk of the year?
Well, and that's always been like, for example, so myself and my two sisters, we are three very different people, and we like I don't get along with the other two at all. Like there's just nothing. There's no reason to be in a room with them. Mum always still retains this image or fantasy, I guess, that we should all be a happy family because we're related. And I'm like, well, no. And quite often, like she'll before she live with me, so she would organize a Christmas get together and invite the others without like telling me, for example. I'm thinking it's all going to be hunky dory. It's like I'm not going to sit at a table and be nice to somebody just because it's Christmas or because I happen to be related to them. So we have to be in this room together for, this afternoon. It's like that doesn't work for me anymore. And I saw through that like really quickly, and then a bit like you reflected on my journey through Christmases as growing up, and you're going, yeah, like that's what we've always done is you like put on your best outfit, turn up and have lunch, and it's all this food that we would never eat, and it's all this special stuff, and it's like, this is not how we normally are. It's like, yeah, right, okay, cool. So yeah, I understand what you're talking about, that struggle with it, because it definitely doesn't align at times.
Yeah, and like I don't know, that was hard for me.
Mm,
I disliked that very much, and that's we had like my mom and I know at some point like we had some conversations about it, but I think it was kind of like lost on her, and also like nobody wants to be on the other side of conversations like that. It's impossible to not be like defensive of it. It's like I'm sure it's like everybody that not everybody, but most people seek to just like do a little bit better with their kids than they had for themselves, and like do the best that they can with what they have and what they know. So yeah, I don't like harbor anything about it. Like I'm very detached from it, but it hasn't been until more recently and later in life that like I have come to enjoy the holidays more. And a lot of that's been through Vanessa. She's always loved it. She has loved
she's
it out of the holidays.
She is the holiday queen. Like, if you follow her Instagrams, you will see very much right from, Halloween onward, she's in decorating mode. And I know we've spoken before about how you didn't get that at the start, like of your relationship. It's like, whatever.
Yeah, like,
and then
this is exhausting. Like, this is an exhausting, expensive affair. This is a fucking giant waste of time and energy and money. This is dumb.
And then you saw how much joy it brought her.
I'm like, I bought a 25-foot inflatable snowman. I'm that guy.
And I've been like that too. I'm like, Christmas decorations, lights. Yeah. Sharon is deeply, deeply into that. And last year, like she and Lily, and they've done it again this year, like, they have elfed the crap out of me, and they're always doing things, and they've like decorated my office and stuff. And I see how much joy it gets them working together, like putting up all the lights and decorating, and how happy it makes them. And I'm like, well, then that vicariously makes me happy because they're so happy. And then I kind of just get into they watch a Christmas movie every night, and, they're right into that. And I'm like, oh yeah. And now I get it. Once you experience the joy through someone else's eyes.
Yeah, and then I guess that was a lot of it for me, is like stepping away from Christmas for myself, and like whatever issues or beef that like I have with it. I still like there's all kinds of stuff about this time of the year that like I am incredibly like existentially tested by. But dude, it's so much fun to watch, Liam. It's so much fun to see Vanessa happy. It's very cool to give people gifts. It's nice to decorate just because, like, it's okay. Like, it doesn't have to make sense. It doesn't have to be logical. It doesn't have to be rational. Like, you're allowed to just like do a thing you enjoy for the sake of enjoying it. That's been a later life thing for me to like really come to understand and come to terms with, and be okay like leaning further in that direction. Vanessa and I had a good talk about that like yesterday. I don't remember what the context was, but it's like, dude, it's so hard for so many of us to like do nice things for ourselves, to say nice things to ourselves, and like by extension that gap in the skill set, because like who are you with more often than yourself? Who do you buy shit for more often than yourself?
Yep.
And like the devil's in the details. Like I'm still mind fucked that like it's hard for me to buy like a really good toothbrush for myself. Like that's fucking bizarre. That's like crazy people shit, because you're like, it is an incremental, like
Life
non-existent
need.
like cost difference.
Yeah.
But it's like, well, do I deserve a nice toothbrush? Am I the kind of person that should have like a nice toothbrush?
Mm.
And so, like, Christmas and the holidays, like they brought like a lot of that stuff out, and it's like, a thing to still work on. But if you don't learn to treat yourself well, how do you really have the ability to treat others well?
Mm.
If you don't have the ability to like truly value and respect and make time and space and energy and boundaries for your own happiness,
Mm.
do you really have the ability to do it for anybody else? Or like, are you that fucking phony? Right? Where like, even if you are the supreme gift giver, even if you do like curate amazing happiness and experience stuff for other people, but like, if you can't do it, won't do it, aren't willing to do it, don't have the skill to do it for yourself, like, how well are you really doing it? Or is that kind of your coping mechanism working as an adult, where you're like, let's not look at my fucked up shit. Like, look at all these really nice gifts that I get you guys. Like,
Yeah,
look at all these really cool experiences that, like, put together for you guys. And it's like, well, what about for you and yourself? Be like, well, it's not about me, because it's about giving, not receiving. And it's like, well, maybe we've all built a huge like coping fucking strategy through all of that. I don't know. That's interesting. Hadn't really thought about it like those terms, but yeah.
I think we spend so much of our life having it pushed into us, don't be selfish. Like, to want something for yourself is selfish, and you should, be unselfish. And like, we've had conversations, through affiliate in this last week about, to be truly unselfish, you need to be selfish so that you have the capacity to do that, to give. And, even asking affiliate owners like, well, what's your goal, or why is this important to you? Well, I don't want to put my goal in that, because then I don't want to be selfish to my members or myself, or have them think that I'm just in this for money, glory, success, or whatever. And we just have this pushed at us from the earliest age, like, don't be selfish, don't think about yourself first, put others first. So then we get in this habit of just, that's how it is. Like, I'm last, everyone else should get first, and that's a balance in the world. So, Sharon's an excellent example. She would get me anything I wanted on the planet. Like, if she could do it, she would manufacture it. But ask her to get herself a new pair of shoes. Oh, no, I'll just wait. I'll make some more out of these. It's like, and she's very much not materialistic or into things, but she would do whatever it took to make me happy. And I'm like, but you don't do that for you. And she goes, well, that's not the point. Yeah, it's not the point. It's doing something for you. I'm like, but what about like what you need? And I said, you would not hesitate to buy me a $500 pair of Nike Air Jordans if that's what you believe would make me happy, but you begrudge spending, money on shoes that are going to support your arches and stuff. And she's like, that's rule 2. Don't point out I've contradicted myself.
Right.
Don't
you show me how illogical and dumb I'm being.
Yeah. It's a thing. And as much as she helps me work on my stuff, that's something that I, engage with her on, for saying, well, no, it can't be all about me and what I want. Like, I can be a selfish motherfucker. Like, yeah, sure, I'll take an iPhone or whatever. Like, but it's got to be reciprocity in the relationship as well. But also, as far as you think I deserve everything, I think you deserve everything.
Yeah.
And then there's joy in the giving, But we also need to take care of ourselves and acknowledge that we do have needs. So when someone says, what do you need? It's like, nothing, I'll be all right, don't worry about me. Well, actually, yeah, I need XYZ, but we're never good at communicating that because of that whole, don't be selfish, put others first, your stuff doesn't matter.
Yeah, and it's like, it's super interesting that we just haven't like socially been able to find that, like, at scale. It's like, you can do both things, right? Like, you can do better to yourself and the people in your life. I think it's really interesting that so much of life, at least, the life that I've experienced in America and like westernized society, is that like everything is viewed as this series of like illogical opportunity cost trade-offs.
Mm.
Would you rather have money or love? The fuck do those have to do with one another? Like,
Yeah.
would you rather be rich or happy? Why are those competing interests? You know, like,
Mm.
would you like to eat tasty food or healthy food? They can be the same thing. Like, there's so many examples that exist where it's like, dude, you can care more about your own happiness and also care more about the happiness of like your fellow man or woman or like fucking your dogs. Like, you can do
Yeah.
both. And
Mm.
it's interesting that like we build these false set of like assumptions and these like mental boundaries around like, oh, well, you've got to take care of you so that you can take care of everybody else. And like, dude, that's not wrong at all.
Mm.
But they are not mutually exclusive, nor does one come at the expense of the other. In fact, they're quite synergistic.
Mm.
And like, if you do it in a good, healthy way, like the more you take care of yourself, the more you will find the ability to take care of others. If you do it in a good, healthy way, the more you take care of others, the better you will find your own life and state of existence to become. Like, dude, so much of it is not trade-offs.
Mm. And you like when you get to the place where you understand your needs and are able to value yourself, and it's still hard to do it consistently, but then you see that when I do that, I'm in the best place I can to be able to take care of somebody else because I have no resentments, I have no baggage, all my needs are being met by me. So I'm not relying on you to validate or externalize, so I can actually give to you freely.
Yeah, well, like, or I can be gifted to freely because like I've dealt with
Mm.
my own bullshit and baggage, and like, man, how incredibly selfish of me for so long
Mm.
to minimize and dismiss and diminish receiving gifts for a lot of other people because like that is how they engage in
Mm.
sharing like their love. That is how they
Mm.
engage in trying to bring happiness to somebody else. And it's like, so right, like it's not about receiving, it's about giving. But sometimes in that giving, you need to give the opportunity to receive
Mm.
by not being so caught up in your own like selfish bullshit and like your own myopic viewpoints of the world and of gifts and of the holiday, like, in any area.
Mm.
But
There is a
like
way of receiving that.
what I love, like, am I giving them every opportunity to engage in our relationship in like the best way for them?
Mm. And there is a way to
No fucking
receive.
downside to getting a nice gift. Like, what a
No,
weird construct we've built around that.
but you do feel that. Like it took me a long time because that's not how my experience through the world has been. Like when Sharon just does something for me for the sake of because she wants to, because she knows it'll make me feel good, or she'll, randomly bring home flowers or gift for something. It took me a long time not to go, no, why are you doing that? No, you shouldn't do that, da da da, rather than going, thank you, I appreciate that, and receiving it with grace because I know that that's an important act for her to give. And if I receive it by having my barriers up and blocking stuff and going, no, it's a waste of money, you shouldn't have spent that on me or whatever, then, or I don't deserve that, that diminishes what she gets out of that as well. It's receiving with grace.
Yeah.
Mm. And
And
getting yourself out of the way of that. Ego out, gone.
yeah, and it's like, don't be the bad guy in the relationship in the Hallmark movie.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Don't be the
don't be the
Grinch.
one at home that like somebody brings home like fucking flowers and dinner. It's like, I don't fucking like Chinese. Why'd you waste money
Yeah.
on flowers?
Yeah, they're
You're
only
like,
going to die.
wow, that guy's a huge dick. You should definitely divorce him. It's like, well, how often do we say that with just different words? Like, you
Mm.
shouldn't have done this. Like, it's a giant waste of money. I
Mm.
don't need this, and it doesn't make me happy.
Mm. Rather than
How about
thank you,
you?
I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were, only very recently today years old when, I figured that out. And also then seeing the joy and satisfaction it gives them actually gave me joy and satisfaction that if I was being grinchy and difficult, then I'm stopping her having that gift of joy and experience of giving to me. And well, I'm not about killing anyone else's joy, so get on the awesome train and just, be gracious and accept, because start to get past your own bullshit about self-worth and go, well, it is okay for somebody to value me. And if they value me, well, maybe I should catch up.
And also, like, dude, like, it's okay to just like have fun.
Mm.
Okay to be happy.
Yeah, and be silly.
Nobody fucking likes the Grinch. Like, that is why the Grinch exists as the caricature of holidays done poorly.
Yeah.
Because it's about him and it's about his disdain for all of it. And like, if I'm not happy, nobody should be happy. And then he like later finds out, he's like, oh wait, we could all just be happy and enjoy this.
Yeah, and we
Like,
can all.
Who cares that there's dumb trinkets everywhere? Like, who cares that like some of the music's fucking awful and it just plays nonstop for like a month and a half? Like, who cares that everybody like just kind of lets it a little fucking loose with like food and alcohol and like, dude, who cares? It's the end of the year. Fuck it, enjoy it.
And
you might not have another Christmas left. You might not have another holiday season left.
Yeah,
that's been a big reframe for me in a lot of ways, is being able to. I think you man, it's weird. I've been around no shortage of like death and dying from my late teens all the way through like present day, 38 years old, but the significance of a life lost is way heavier on me in this like season of life. And also the gravity of the reality of like nobody is promised tomorrow. And it's like I've been around people that have died, and I've been around like death, early in life it was like, overdoses, suicides, then, in the military, and then on the backside of the military, a lot of overdoses and suicides. And then adult life is like, by the time you're closing in on 40, it's just like you have a network that is broad and expansive, and people with like family on both sides of age ranges of their own age, and it's like dude, people die.
Yeah,
people
I remember
fucking fractions in ways that like we can't ever come to like know or expect. Jeff GOC, the guy that owned with his wife Sarah CrossFit Morgantown in West Virginia, like that hit me like really, really heavy. And I don't know if it was because we had only been apart for like a couple of weeks at the time, just because he had like two young boys that were similar in age to Liam, or that him and Sarah together is very reminiscent of like me and Vanessa, and just like a good relationship that just fucking works.
Yeah.
And just like died doing deadlifts in his gym.
Yeah.
Just fucking anger is done.
Yeah, and you don't know. Like you literally don't know when your time is, and things can just change in a blink. You're tootling along with life. I remember I had some members in the gym around this time of year, and they were standing in my office and they were bitching about Christmas and this, and I've got to do this, and it was really like a poor me like bitch session. And I just stood up and I said, because I have I had a friend who was struggling with stage 4 cancer, and I was like, and it's probably why I was a little bit more triggered by it, but I was like, dude, there are some people who would do anything to have one more Christmas to bitch and moan about, to have to think about presents, but they're not. They're not going to be here like much beyond next week. Like,
they're not worried about cleaning up the Christmas tree because they're in a fucking hospital room.
Yeah, be grateful that you have family to bitch about, have money in your account to bitch about buying presents or food, and that you have those opportunities, and that you can come to this nice facility and stand in the room and bitch about that as well, when people would pay an endless amount of money to have that opportunity, but they know that there's no possibility of it, and their families would do anything to have that. And yet you're standing in the middle of my room bitching about stuff that's like hashtag first world problems, like get the fuck over yourselves. And they were like, whoa, you having a bad day? And I went, no, it's just reality. Like, just be grateful. And they're like, okay. And different attitude for the foreseeable future. But
that's
it's
such
like
an
sometimes you've got to
like life and coaching. Dude, like we could all be so much better at helping usher and curate the other people in our own lives, because really it's us talking to ourselves, right? Like that's how most of the shit is. It's like thing I'm trying to gently lead you through is the reminder that I really need, but I won't give it to myself because we're all fucking caught up in all kinds of bullshit and baggage and stories and trauma and ego. So I'm going to try to regale you with the life lesson that I know that I actually need to hear in this moment.
Yeah.
Not always the case, but man, is there some fucking average of significance to that.
Yeah.
But dude, like you can have that in any day, in every day, in all the days, and like, damn, could we all endeavor to really fight deliberately to keep how incredibly blessed we are just to like be present as a present thought, any moment, all the moments, every day. Take a breath in. Take a breath in. Ooh, you can breathe. Not everybody wakes up today like having that ability.
Yeah.
You woke up today. You're ahead of like
The pack.
A quantitative piece that doesn't work in our brains because there's 8.5 billion people and human brains can't track numbers that large. Like we really can't even conceptualize past 1,000 very effectively.
Yeah.
Dude, how many people die every day? Like, I don't know. Let's look it up.
Yeah. Yeah, the numbers out and the numbers in, you just can't. Our brains don't reconcile that, and you don't realize what a tip of the spear that you are because you woke up today. It's that.
Yeah, 6,392 people die every hour.
Yeah,
That
like
seems
that's
to me.
Yeah.
That's probably like off of a country or something. I could dig more into it, but
Yeah, but even then, that amount of
maybe I don't need to like dig too much more into it because like to really think about like 6,400 people every hour, 24/7, it probably does like add up pretty effectively to be like an enormous like 56 million people a year.
And it's
56 million people every year don't get to go back into the holidays next year. Like insert whatever marker of time, birthday, anniversary, holiday, tax season, New Year, fucking like Saturday night at home, watching TV and ordering pizza.
Yeah.
There is 56 million plus people will not be able to do that again.
So how do
surrounded by opportunities to be like grateful, and
and we miss it, and we're all guilty of not being as like everyone's like, yeah, I do my daily gratitude. It's like, yeah, but do you really like really? I couldn't really. I struggled to find 3 things today. You woke up, you took a breath, and you could go to a bathroom that wasn't standing over a pit. Like, that's
like,
pretty three pretty big things.
Been, like really constipated.
Yeah.
Like I got super constipated the first time I tried to go like completely no carb. Dr. Mauro Di Pascal, he wrote the anabolic diet, which is a ketogenic diet that is like biased in some ways to try to prime hormonal cascades and testosterone production. Anyway, I was so fucking constipated. It felt like I needed to shit out like a whole apple. It was like this ball of, because it was all fucking, I did it like an idiot. I was like, so you just eat what fucking bacon, cheese? This is the best diet ever. And then like your body stops working. And when you do dumb shit like that with your diet, like poop either goes like, it's on one side of the continuum or the other. It's either like liquidy and never ending nonsense or just like, hey, you know how corks work in wine bottles? It's like that, but in your butthole, inside.
Yeah.
I'm coming out. And so anyway, where I'm going with all of it is like, dude, if you can take a shit, it's a really good day. Like if you've ever either had terrible diarrhea or awful constipation, you're just like, if you exist in this normal piece of your life where you're like, I am taking normal shits. Dude, you should be so grateful and so happy because like pause and think about any time you've been on any other side of it and you're like, God, I would be so happy to not be just like shitting like a hose out of my butt. every 10 minutes. Or like, man, I would pay a lot of money to take a poop right now. This hurts real bad. I feel very uncomfortable. It's like, dude, like, are you grateful to just take normal shits?
Yeah.
Because if you're not, you should be, because you forgot how bad it was when you couldn't.
Yeah.
Just
and
so much
things
of that.
like that.
There's so much of that in life.
Yeah, there's so many things. And, you know, I guess how are you curating? Because it is a definitely, I know how intentional you and Vanessa are about things with Liam, that, you know, bringing that sort of perspective in about, you know, gratitude, and not everybody has these opportunities, rather than, you know, just sharing Liam with the world and just going, yeah, this is how it is for everybody kind of thing. I know that you guys would be super intentional about, that's what Christmas is and that's what we're doing, but this is why it's different for you and it's different for other kids as well. Like, you know,
I don't know like what it is that like we do and don't get right and wrong. They did a Christmas program in Liam's class that was, you know, them like singing Christmas songs and all that. And part of it was a PowerPoint slideshow that they did where they would have, you know, here's a question. And over the span of like 3 different days in their classroom, like they would ask a question and then like one at a time individually film the kids answering the question. And they put kind of a compilation of them together. And it wasn't every kid answering every question. But the first question that they had asked is, what is Christmas about? And like that was kind of like the lead-in title slide. And it's not like any divine surprise of the universe, just his teachers put his answer last. But they had gone through all the kids, and Liam's little video clip of, you know, what is Christmas about? His answer was the one that they kind of capstoned the thing with, and it was, Christmas is about love. Oh man.
Yeah. Wow.
That had to be like one of the best moments that I've had, you know, with him, is like to be proud of his like thoughts and views and actions and be like, good job, buddy.
Yeah.
Good fucking job. Because everybody in the room got it, right? You know, they have all of the kids' parents there, all of the teachers there. It's a standing room only room, very legitimately.
Yep.
And you know, a lot of it's like, it's very much like Elf, right? Like you're asking a bunch of 4-year-olds like what the best part of Christmas is or why they like Christmas, or like presents, gifts, cookies, like, and none of those things are wrong. And it's the exact thing that we're talking about. It's like, dude, they're awesome. Like we baked cookies for Santa 2 nights ago. Yeah, man, it's way ahead of Christmas. We're just eating cookies. But like, we wanted to make cookies. We never, you know, not never, but we live a life and a lifestyle whereupon those are not regular inclusions. So like, you want a trial run making some like bonus cookies for Santa and like, just, you know, see if he gets one, see if he knows that we made him. Like maybe he'll pull your letter out of our little mailbox ahead of schedule and see like what's going on. And yeah, so it's like, you know, Christmas is about presents and cookies. And it is about like finding happiness and joy. But that was a cool moment.
And that gives you that,
do all of it, right? Is like, if you can anchor it in love for yourself, love for your life, love for, you know, the people that you care about, like, and that is what makes all of those other things far more valuable, far more intentional, far more deliberate, like much easier to lean into. It's like, hey, you know what? You show me how much you love me in a way that your brain processes by giving me something nice. Dude, I love you enough to accept that graciously and to appreciate why that's important to you.
And it is a big thing, like, but it, you know, as a parent, I guess you can kind of step back and go, he gets what we've been trying to, whether intentionally or not, but he picks up what we're laying down. He gets it. He gets the message behind.
We get shreds of evidence supporting that just as often as we get shreds of evidence to the contrary, and that's part of the game.
Yeah. But it's a powerful thing to, you know, like he is, and I know I've said this before on the podcast, like he's a very evolved little human, and that's no short in short, due to what, the life experience, I guess, that you and Vanessa have set out to create. Like, you're very intentional in what you do, and you're mindful, and you don't always get everything right, and that's human. But you're going about things with a bit more thought, rather than like, fuck it, just send it. We'll just whatever. It's like,
there is no shortage of fuck it, send it in our lives.
yeah, that's right. But when you're still very mindful about, well, here is our lived experience. Is this something we want to carry forward with Liam, or is this something we want to give him a different experience, but also let him appreciate other
this
experiences?
Is an interesting like framework piece. This has been really, 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 really fucking powerful for me. The only thing that most people ever talk about in a generational sense is wealth.
Yeah.
We believe in generational health. We believe in generational wealth. We have deliberately curated a belief structure that you can change anything that has existed in either family's entire genealogy if you so choose. Like, everybody in my family's got anger issues. Until you make the decision that like nobody in my family has anger issues any longer. Like everybody in my family struggles with credit. Everybody, like whatever, like insert whatever fucking story, like people are so attached to their stories, and we are attached to the idea of rewriting stories. That is a powerful piece of how like Vanessa and I like choose to navigate through our lives. Is like, is there a thing that I have the ability to control and influence and change? Well, if I want it to be different, then like fucking saddle up.
Yeah.
And so like, my bullshit that I have brought to Christmas and with Christmas and around Christmas, like, cool, done. Doesn't need to get passed forward, paid forward. And like, that's a really like interesting thing that I haven't had a chance to explore a lot. And I can talk to you about it because like, I know you've gone through a lot of it with, your own mom and sisters and shit. Is like, why do so many people make a choice to have their kids suffer through so much of what they themselves have suffered through, rather than like, why don't I deliver you from this? Why don't I take like this faulty belief structure or like this thing that I think is true that's like obviously made my life like fucking shitty? Like, I don't know, at least give you the ability to like move forward on your own and figure out something better. Like, even if, if it is something that as the parent or the guardian, I'm like, I know I don't have a good answer for this. I don't know why there's so many people that take their shitty answer or their wrong answer or their bad answer or the answer for like X, Y, and Z, food, fitness, money, fucking whatever. They're like, here's the story that we tell in this family about this thing that we fucking suck at, or this thing in the world that's not fair. So many people that I've met, like, in my time that I have become more aware of this and paid attention to it. It's like, man, they're really set on selling themselves and then also reselling their fucking kids on these shitty narratives. Super
because
weird.
that's how it's always been.
Super weird. But like, why?
I think there's safety and comfort in going, well, there's discomfort in being the agitator for change. And it's like, I don't want to put my head out of the molehill and get whacked. Like, I don't, there's comfort in routine. This is just how things are. This is where we fit in life. This is our level. This is where we stay. And then you get that one person who pops their head up and goes, well, no, like this doesn't have to be that way. And it's a bumpy ride to, go against that crushing current and tide to go, I want to be different.
Dude, I mean, especially if you're not happy. And that I think is that's what's really hard for me. And it's like, actually, like it brings sorrow to my soul. Like it hurts my heart. How many unhappy parents exist, and they're not unhappy because of their parents. That does exist. That's a thing. But I'm saying like people who are unhappy as humans who happen to be parents that teach the same skills of unhappiness, that teach the same
Yeah.
phrases and mindsets and beliefs of unhappiness. Because like I think unhappiness is an area to play in because like you can apply it to so much. But
Yeah.
dude, you just
And
no, maybe I was lucky enough to have spent the time that I did like in coaching
Mm.
to
Well, I think
really like, you know, be like, why don't I help guide you to a better life as a better version of yourself? Like, as I'm also going through the same version of, you know, discovery and improvement.
and I think it's only through
Through coaching.
like
I don't know.
me having coaching relationships, so like being coached like by you and Tony, and understanding that it's okay to take care of yourself, that I realized, you know, like a lot of the behaviors and patterns I'd fallen into, particularly like handed down from my mother, where it's like, you know, I can see very clearly now, like she just doesn't get that it's okay to go out and do your own thing and explore and, you know, live a life that's not 9 to 5, chained to somebody else's agenda and schedule. But that doesn't mean that you're not doing anything, you're not productive. Like she will always say to me still, like, oh, good life you've got. When I said, you know, I've got this on, oh, bloody good life you've got. Well, I work bloody hard, actually. And it's harder to do something for yourself when there's no guarantee of a paycheck tomorrow than turning up to a job that you hate. But
It's really interesting how that works, right? Where like it's very easy initially, and there is a huge draw to the human soul to color outside the lines. But as soon as you make it far enough outside the lines to be in blank space, be like, cool, draw whatever you want. You're like, ooh, this is different.
yeah, this is big.
But yeah, that's yeah, I guess yeah, like and you know, kind of how we got here is like people trying to like justify and defend like whatever their shitty version of reality is, and also like pay that forward to other people. And like, yeah, it's applied everywhere, right? It's you know, how much would your mom and your sisters approve of and desire for you to follow the same habits and routines with the holidays that you guys have had your entire life together? Versus like, what if you were the one putting fucking sticks in the bike spokes and you're like, hey guys, what Sharon and I decided was to go fucking all out on Christmas, and we're actually flying everybody out as a family to go on this fucking adventure.
Yeah.
Like you could go through this like supreme act of gracious gift giving and be like, whoa.
No, yeah.
Why you tried to change it? Like, I'm sorry I tried to do a nice thing. Fuck.
Yeah. And you know,
I don't
that's
know
one of
that
the
to be true. It's just an assumption, but like it might be fun to test.
yeah, well, I mean, it's even like understanding the have tos. I know, like my birthday recently, I said, Sharon's like, well, what do you want to do on the day? I'm like, oh, well, you know, I have to go and see mum. She goes, why? I went, well, it's my birthday. She'll want to see me. She goes, it's your birthday. So
Do you
you
want
can
to see
do,
her?
yeah. And that was the question. I was like, fuck, mine. Like my head could not even, I
You're
really
like, oh,
struggled with
wait,
it.
but it's my birthday, and I always see my mom on my birthday, and she's like, yeah, you and your mom have a fucked up relationship. You probably have a better birthday if you didn't hang out with her. And you're like, you're right. I still don't know if I like that answer, even though like,
and I could not get my head around it. And I was like, okay, well, we won't go there. And then as we were coming back from a breakfast with friends, I'm like, look, we'll just call in past the house on the way home. It'll just be real quick and easy. It'll be half an hour, and then it's done. And Sharon's like fully gracious. She's like, cool. If it's your birthday, if that's what you want to do, do it. I'm not going to judge you for it. But I was super uncomfortable with that whole concept of like, but I have to because she will want to see me on my birthday, so I should go see her. And it's like, it's your day. Do what makes you happy. Is that going to make you happy? Are you going there because you want to or because you feel like, well, fuck, I have to? And I was like, and I struggled for a couple of weeks. Like they were some, like not arguments or anything like that, but it was hard concepts for me to talk around and not get super emotional about and work through, because I was like, this is just changing my perspective on how I've done things for 47 years. Now on year 48, I'm going to do something differently. Like, and I can. It's like someone gave you permission, and I was like, this is new.
It I have classically not been a fan of my own birthday. Very much so. I don't know if we had talked about that previously or if we recorded an episode on it. If not, we can.
No.
Man, I fucking hated my birthday forever. Forever,
Yeah.
ever. Especially in like a deeper, more dysfunctional way for a huge period of my life where like I had a lot of like suicidal ideations and like, you know, the idea of not being alive had a lot of like immense appeal. It's very easy to very much so dislike your birthday because it's like the celebration of everything antithetical to that. But
Yeah.
when I had a kid, I understand birthdays in a very different way.
Mm.
I appreciate my mom as a construct of like, dude, my mom for many years was a part of me not liking my birthdays and not through anything like intentional or deliberate. It was just, it was very incongruent. And it's a lot of the same stuff that we talked about with Christmas. Like, I'm not going to get the birthday presents that I want, and I'm not really like stoked on my life, then like celebrating both of those things seems kind of fucking antithetical and I don't like it very much. But the ability to appreciate what a birth truly means. Dude, like had you not been born, we would not know each other. This podcast exists. Like none of your coaching clients would have ever met you. Sharon would have never met you. Like, really be able to stop and think about a birthday from the perspective of like, what is the void that would exist had this event never occurred? So to think about like, to stop and really think about like Liam's birthday is like, you know, this was like the big like, oh, I get it now. Is as self-deprecating and self-loathing as I can be, and as hard as it is for me to like hold myself into higher esteem and regard, what a different version the world would be had I never existed. And that is fucking no pat on my back. That is not like in any grandstanding way, but like to know the life that changed like through the seminar, to know the people that I got to like usher into being a part of the gymnastics staff, to like know the good deeds that I've done and like the difference that I've made. And like, oh man, pretty cool that I've been alive. The world is a better place because I have existed. I certainly at this point in my life, you know, on December 22nd, 2022, 38 years old, like I feel fairly confident saying that the world is better because I exist.
I will 100% say that I know that my world has been better in the last 2.5 years that you are here and have existed, and the relationship that I have with you and Tony, and then what's evolved.
Does that give you the ability to step back from your own story and be like, dude, a world in which Lisa was never born, it's not just Lisa that missed out. And that's how I looked at it for a long time. I was like, my life or my death is my own. And that is the incorrect viewpoint, because the sum is greater than the parts. And like your part is important for lots of sums.
Yes.
And so when I could step away and be like, oh, through Liam being born, I have the ability to appreciate what a birthday is and what it means to a greater degree, including my own.
It's a powerful
is
shift.
A different perspective to sit in, to talk to my own mom on my birthday. Be like, hey, I was not the easiest. Bringing me into the world was not the easiest. Making sure that like I made it was not the easiest. Thank you for me being born. That was big for me. Like that was a big change in my ability to view my own birth and birthday, and like, and then also reframe it and to be like incredibly grateful for the opportunity to exist at all. And so like, you know, kind of coming full circle, like a lot of the stuff around the holidays, like turns out I'm not a shithead about my own birthday anymore, because like that's incredibly like short-sighted and selfish to like the world at large, to the other people that care about me, and to like really respecting like the process and the journey. And like, dude, how much it would break my heart to hear Liam bemoan and begrudge and regret and talk down to his own like birth and life and existence and like the celebration of all those things. Like, ooh, Sorry,
Yeah.
Mom. I'm sorry. I didn't realize it soon enough.
Mm.
And so, yeah,
And
like
they,
it is my day about me and my birth, but like I'm the least important piece of the whole story.
mm,
Like I might be the linchpin that holds my entire story together, but my story's not about me.
no, it's about the ripples that we create and the lives we can touch and the impact and legacy. As we get through our years and hopefully many years, it's what's the footprint that you're leaving behind you as you go, and
Yeah.
is it better than are you just kicking cans along the street, or actually leaving an imprint that's going to stay and mean something beyond that?
Yeah, and then finding like that is part of what makes the holidays cool.
Mm,
So long as you are not suffering some great life tragedy as you navigate the holidays, and like, dude, that does exist. It
mm,
is it is the high point of the year for both deaths and suicides. It is not
yep.
an easy time of the year. I have been on the other side of it, but like,
Mm,
dude, it's very cool to be in a place to be able to look back at the year that has passed
mm,
and find it to be a thing worthy of celebration. And to
mm,
find like your own life and the lives of those around you like worthy of celebration and rejoice and gifting and like appreciation, and then like that's a better place to be in.
yeah. And
And like you say like a million times, like, dude, you can always go back. Like
yeah.
if you've been the fucking curmudgeon, if you've been the Scrooge, the Grinch, like if you've just like if you sold yourself on a story of like, fuck the holidays for all of these reasons, and like, dude, those reasons are super valid. It is a
Yep.
shame. Fuck it. It is a vain,
Shit
shallow,
show.
materialistic, like consumer driven, like shit show. Yeah.
Yep.
People eat and drink like just gross slob versions of themselves. Yep. Like everybody is guilty of greed and sloth and like envy. Cool. That's all right. At the end of the day, we're still fucking animals. Like we're monkeys with fancy cars and clothes. And you can always go back to being a shithead about it. But like, dude, the holidays are way better.
Yeah.
Like,
And when you change
to enjoy it.
your perspective too, no one's going to say, "Oh, well, how come you suddenly like this?" It's like you just come on in. Here's a seat.
Well, and like,
Thanks,
dude,
thanks for catching up.
I hope that somebody actually like prompts that conversation along, right? Like, what a blessed opportunity to have to like reframe somebody else's and be like, Lisa, I thought you always fucking hated Christmas, and you're like, yeah, it turns out it was a stupid story I told myself, and it's way better on the other side. You want to come over here with me? I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, well, let's talk about why you don't like Christmas, and let's talk about why it's so much better when you fix that shit. And like, swap out Christmas with birthday.
Yep.
Swap
Easter,
out birthday
anything.
with marriage.
Yeah.
Swap out marriage with exercise. Swap out exercise with food. It's like, dude, it's anything. It's anything and everything because it's like your belief systems and structures. Anyway, whatever. I know we're out of time. I love you. It's always good to chat.
I love you too, and it's been a good chat. And Merry Christmas.
Yippee-ki-yay.
I will
see you shortly. Once again, because that's what we do.
That's what we do. All right, my friend. Thank you.
Merry Christmas. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to another conversation with Chuck Bennington. Hope it was enjoyable for you. Hope there was some value and some benefit in it. Maybe even had a laugh or two. Even though these are primarily for me and Liam, we sure love to help a friend in need because it's a friend indeed. So if there was some piece of it that was good, please feel free to share it with somebody else and pay it forward. If you think what we're doing is rad and you want to support it, please just like, subscribe, share, tell a friend. Appreciate you, dudes.